everyone, I'm Miss Shayla. I'm the Dorky Reader. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a April reading wrap-up where I go over all the books I read in April and give you my personal take on what I felt about them, etc. There were 7 books I pulled for the month of April. I did not, however, read all 7 of these books. I didn't think I would really read 7, but I was hoping to do more than I did. I only ended up reading 4 of the titles in that stack. And that was kind of sad for me because I'm kind of behind on my reading schedule and I don't want to be. I'm like 1 book behind right now. But anyway, April's a really busy month for me. I have kids and this year Easter fell in April. It's springtime and I'm a gardener and I'm doing a huge garden project in my backyard where I'm pulling up spider grass and like hacking. I've got this huge pickaxe axe-like thing and I'm just hacking at the soil and toiling through it and pulling all the weeds out I can, and it's taking forever. I'm creating a huge garden space and I've been planting and it's really fun and relaxing, but it does cut into my reading time for sure. Of these books, there were 3 titles I was super excited to read this last month, and I actually only ended up reading 1 of those 3. So I'm a little disappointed, and I still really wish I could be reading these books, but I've kind of told myself that if I don't read a book from the previous month, then I can't use that as my TBR jar poll. I have to give it a month because I didn't go to it then, so it gives me like a month without it, and then I have to, maybe in the next month, maybe in June. But anyway, I will go over what I did read and what I didn't read, and let me just start right here. I'll tell you what I didn't read first, and then you'll see why I'm so bummed. Okay, so the big one that I wanted to read and didn't read was Blood Over Bright Haven. I never got around to it. I was too busy, and there were lots of great books in the stack that I read. I am really bummed because everyone says this book is fantastic. So I'm really hoping I can find a way to squeeze this into my June TBR. I already did my May TBR jar pool video, but I haven't posted it yet because I didn't do a one take. I did it in parts and my computer is still not receiving videos from my phone. So I'm trying to do everything in one take with this video so I can at least get this out. But anyway, this is a big bummer for me. Another big bummer for me is I didn't read Dungeon Crawler Carl's Anarchist Cookbook. And I have no excuses. I mean, I just didn't have the time. And I know that this choice specifically was my choose your own kind of book for the month choice. So it might still go. I'm going to, if I can get through some more titles this may be the book that I end up choosing as my personal choice. Because I feel like I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. Another book I didn't read, and the last book I didn't read, was The Shadow Throne, which is book 3 in the False Prince. I don't know if it's a quartet. I think it's 5 books, actually. But I could be wrong. And it's by Jennifer A. Nielsen. And I really like the first 2 books. I know I'll like this when I get around to it. I just didn't. I think the other books were calling to me. And so now on to the fun part where I actually talk about what I did read. So I'm going to do it in order of how I read them, because I feel like that makes sense. And the first book I read in April was Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Some people, I was looking at the reviews online and they weren't vibing with it, but I totally vibed with it. I loved it. It's long. It's got a lot of plot set up in a way like this world is being built. So you're kind of figuring out the politics that are at play. And a lot of this book is political, and there are rich, powerful people behaving badly, and there are there's religious oppression and sexism within this. I don't know if it's really a religion, but these group of people, the people who still hold magic, they are separated from the rest of society. They're kind of in their own little walled area. You could make the analogy of like a ghetto, you know, that kind of situation for these people, but they have their own beliefs and their own customs. So I kind of give it like almost like a religious feel to these people with magic. And there's a little bit of inherent sexism within that world. There's this really mysterious kind of underworld leader, like the king of crime, so to speak, you know, and there's rivals in that, and there's some kind of trickery, and there's all sorts of fantastic characters, and oh gosh, I really loved it. It's the first time in my life I ever tabbed a book was in Swordcatcher, because there were some parts I really, really loved. Very meaningful little tidbits. I really like this part. I'm going to read it just because I thought it was interesting. And basically first let me talk about the characters. So there's Kel, who is like this boy who was chosen from an orphanage to be the prince's sword catcher. Basically, he looks similar enough to the prince, and he was raised to kind of be used in his stead in many political ways if like the prince's life is in danger. And then there is the prince himself, who is raised, I mean, you know, in lavishly. He's very charming, and but he's a bit spoiled to the world. He doesn't really understand what his people are going through. But he has a good, close relationship with Kel. They love each other a lot. There's this girl named Antonetta, and she was their childhood friend, and she was raised, to be, you know, at first she was roughhousing with the boys and playing a certain way. And then as she grew older, her expectations as a young woman changed, how they viewed her and how society treated her. And so she hid away her cleverness and her whatever to be this proper young lady. And then there's also, of course, the other main character is Lynn. And Lynn is this girl. She's from the group of people with magic, and she fought very hard to be the first female doctor or medical professional in her world. That's usually something only men in her society can do, but she really fought for it because she wants to be a healer. Her best friend has some kind of sickness that I believe her father died of, and she doesn't want that to happen to her friend. So she's looking for any way she can to gain knowledge, to gain power, to heal her friend of this disease. And so that's where she's at. There is all sorts of stuff that comes to play. I'm not going to spoil the details of the plot, but they do all intermingle and mix and meet in different ways. The main characters that you see their perspectives are of Kel and Lynn. I really, really enjoyed Lynn's story. I love the dynamic she has with her and Prince Connor. I thought that their interactions, the tension that Cassandra Clare wrote between them, there's like, you can feel it. Like, it's so great. Cassandra Clare is really good at that romantic tension feeling. There was all sorts of really interesting kind of political stuff going on that I loved. And I also enjoyed that the main characters seemingly aren't the people who are going to be a pairing. So like Kel has his own love interests and Lynn has her potential love interests. And nothing is clearly defined in this book. Like, it could go any way. I'm rooting for one particular pairing, but it could go any way at all. who knows? Even the people I love could end up dying, could end up being evil. Who knows what could happen in book 2? But I just really, really loved it. I'm super looking forward to book 2, and I can't wait to start reading that one. Anyway, for me, this was like a 4.5, 5-star book. A lot of people didn't like it, which I just don't get. So I want to hype it up because I think that the right audience would really, really love it. Really beautiful. Oh, and I was going to read that part. This part of the book is a little tidbit I thought was pretty meaningful. It's basically Kell realizing something about Antonetta, his childhood friend who was raised in this upper class world, and how she and these boys would play together and have fun. And now that she's a young lady, they're kind of condescending to her. They're saying, yeah, oh, she's a hottie. Yeah, I'd take that. You know, they're talking really disrespectfully about her, and he's noticing a few things. So Kell realized then that he had always framed the past as the time Antonetta had changed how she behaved, changed the way she treated him. But now, listening to Rouverge and Montfaucon and Falconet, he thought they were the ones who had changed. When Antonetta had suddenly curved, her new body all breasts and hips, it was as if she had become something else to them, something foreign and negligible, easy to mock. They had forgotten she was bright and clever. No, it was more than that. Her cleverness had become invisible to them. They could not see it. And I liked that. I just thought that was a really insightful moment for this character, how he viewed her changed in that moment. Like, wait a minute, you know what? She actually is still all those things. They're just seeing her different because her body has changed. I liked it. I don't know. And there's also some other things I tabbed, but those are just because I was like, oh, the tension is as thick, you can cut it with a knife, that kind of thing. So I was just going to put this there. I know I rambled a lot about this book, but this was probably my favorite. Okay, next. The next book I read was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. And honestly, I did not vibe with this book very well. The main concept of this book is that there are people with supernatural abilities like telepathy, maybe a little bit, or can see ghosts, are good with tarot cards, things like that. People who are just connected to the spirit world in some way. They can see auras, etc. And those people are the people who are ostracized in this society. There are also, at one point, this girl, she's hiding who she is. She gets connected to this criminal underground. They don't delve as deep into as I wish they would, because that was probably the most interesting part of the story to me. And then she ends up being caught by the police of the world, like these people, and they take her and to this colony, this kind of encampment. Normally they just execute them, but she's taken to this special encampment place, and it turns out to be run by these not aliens, but people who are not of this world, and they are actually running the show behind the scenes. They're these super powerful, almost immortal beings, and they are trying to, like, their world was overrun by these creatures, and now these creatures are coming here, so they're here to help us get rid of them, etc. And they're using these people who have spiritual powers to help fight off these things. But anyway, it's like, kind of like almost like a slave camp, and they're creating their own army of people to fight off these demons with them. And I don't know, I wasn't feeling the world building for me, though vast. She did a huge undertaking in this book. It wasn't for me. I wasn't feeling it and connecting to it. The other thing was I didn't really like the main character. I found her to be a little annoying, and just kind of one of those haughty, I don't know, just, but not in a fun, not haughty, because I think sometimes haughty can be fun, but she's just too, like, cold and calculated. I don't know, I don't know. There was just something about her, not cold and calculated. There's just a mood. I can't describe it. And then the main male love interest, it was a little bit, he felt really dull and vacant. Like there's nothing behind his eyes to me. Like he had no character at all. And then I think that their connection didn't feel real to me. Also, because I think he's like, basically like, if this is like a slave and master scenario, that usually is not a good vibe for me. I'm not into it. Though sometimes I guess it could be played off better in some instances, but in this specific case, it just didn't work for me. And the character is not, like I said, he didn't have enough personality for me to really care. I think this book could have gone in a better direction had they pursued more in the ways of a background character named Jackson. I thought he was really interesting. And unfortunately, if he had been like the love interest, if they had like reduced his age and made him the love interest, that character in his position, that would have been really, I would have been more interested and maybe even tempted to read another book. But as it is, I did read this book, you know, from front to back. It took me a while because I wasn't as into it. But I'm not going to be continuing this series, I think, which is a bummer because look how gorgeous this cover is. Whoever designed her covers is brilliant. I think it's just so, the colors are so nice and it just, I don't know, I love it. So unfortunately, this was a miss for me. I followed the Bone season with Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and I love this series. I'm having so much fun with it. I would say that I liked Cinder more than Scarlet in some ways, and in other ways I like this one more. I think this one had a lot of great action and it was thrilling. I do think that her romance with this character Wolf was good in some ways, but also a little bit like too fast. You know what I mean? She fell for Wolf too quickly for me. It wasn't believable as much. I do enjoy other aspects of their situation though. I thought it was a nice Red Riding Hood interpretation. Like it was different. It felt different to me anyway, and I was into it. I'm excited. I like that Cinder was still in this book and that we still got to continue her story. I was really into Thorn. I thought Thorn was a really great character, and I'm looking forward because I hear he is the love interest in the third book for Cress, I believe it's called. But anyway, Scarlet was a great little read, great YA series. It was a little more mature in some ways than Cinder was. Like, I would have no problem with my daughter reading Cinder. I would worry, not too much, it's not that bad, about Scarlet. There are a couple little things, you know, but it's not that. I mean, it's gruesome because there's violence, but oh well. Anyway, I really liked it. It's still YA. It's not adult, which is good. And then it was just fun. It was a good time, and it was a great palate cleanse after the Bone season, which I had felt like was dragging on for me because I wasn't as into it, and it was taking a lot of my time. And I was like, I need something I can read fast to just make me not feel so oof. So that was that. And then the last book I read in April was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Wow, what a great story. What a beautiful, beautiful love letter to life, really. Like, that's what it felt like to me, because I felt like the characters, oh, where do I even begin? So I think a lot of people understand the premise of Addie LaRue. She is a girl who made a bargain with darkness or the devil or whatever you want to call him, just some kind of god or being. And she made a bad bargain, and now she's living forever, but no one can remember her at all through her whole life. Like, she just goes, you know, on. And as soon as someone leaves the room and they come back, they don't remember her. And they're like, who are you? So it's a very lonely existence. And she does this for about 300 years when she finally meets someone who remembers her. And this boy who remembers her, his story is so depressing to me. I remember thinking that while reading it. And I think that's probably why I liked Swordcatcher more, because I didn't get depression. But I was a little bit depressed reading about Henry's character and his life and how he felt about himself. If you've ever suffered through depression, some of the things he says in this really resonate. This feeling of not ever being enough for someone, even though people around you seemingly care about you, but the way they talk to you, maybe they don't understand what they're saying is somehow hurtful. But anyway, he goes through life like this. But anyway, Addie LaRue and him meet up, and because of a situation I can't spoil too much, he remembers her, and she and him have a brief romance, and it kind of helps him to understand the beauty of day-to-day life, and that there are hard times in life, but the good times, even if they're few and far between, are well worth all the hardship that you suffer. And so in that way, it's like this love letter to life, like this life is worth living, even if it's hard, even if it's for 300 years, you know, it's beautiful. I really, really, really love that story. And it had an interesting ending too, that was satisfying. So it was a good conclusion. I think I teared up at the end. I don't tear up often, but I teared up during The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I would say this for me is a 4.5. I would give it more, but I was just, to me, sadness, when I feel sadness, I am moved by it. Writing wise, this is written so beautifully. I guess people say prose, right? Her prose are incredible. I thought it was really beautifully written. But like the feeling it gave me, I don't want to feel sad. So that's the only reason I would give it a 4.5. But I really, really love this book. I'm so glad I read it. A fantastic, fantastic book. And if you're having a hard time with depression, as I do sometimes, I feel like it can give you a little bit of a, like at first you're like, oh God, but like as you reach the end of the book, it does make you feel in the very end like, okay, I'm glad I have the time here I have. I'm glad I have these moments. It was beautiful. So this is what I ended up reading in April. I hope you guys did better than me. 4 books is all right though. I'll take it. I hope to be able to push out the video I did for my TBR jar for May. I didn't get to do it straight through. I did it in chunks because I accidentally hit stop instead of pause, and then I was stuck with what I had, and my computer isn't taking my phone's videos anymore, and I have to get on my husband's laptop somehow, and I'm not sure how I'm going to pull that off. So I have the videos that I need to edit together, and someday I'll be able to do that, I think. And then I'll be able to post my TBR jar May thing, which is great. But for now, I hope you enjoyed my little book review, and I hope you have a fantastic May. Happy May, everyone.